someone in our audience is tired of the complying. Gabe Rench is here with us. He hosts a pretty cool show. I've had a chance to be a guest on a couple of times. Maybe you've seen it on the NRB network, and he joins us here today on Blaze TV, radio, and podcast. Good to see you, brother. How are you?
Hey, Steve. Thanks for having me on, man. Today's your book's birthday, isn't it?
It is. It launches today, and it's off to a phenomenal start. So thank you very much. Tell our audience a little bit about you, first and foremost.
Yeah, first, I'm the host of Cross Politic TV show and podcast. I'm just a Jesus is Lord Over Politics podcast. I live in Idaho, Moscow, Idaho, which is kind of up in the chimney of northern Idaho. And I'm married to my wife, Annie, and got 3 wonderful kids on a little 10-acre ranch outside of Moscow. So that's a little bit about me. So
you check every Department of Homeland Security box. You check them all. You even showed up with the right beard. So here we go, right? Which bourbon is it tonight? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to just totally go stereotype with you there, Gabe. But tell us about Moscow, Idaho. I've been there. I was there as you guys' guest a couple of years ago. It's a pretty little community, all right? But it's an intriguing one with an interesting mix of people, right?
Yeah, so as most people know, Idaho is a conservative state, but there's actually 2 counties that overwhelmingly vote Democrat, and ours is one of them. And our county is Latah County, and it's particularly my city that's the problem, Moscow, Idaho. And it's liberal largely because we're a university town surrounded by farm fields, right? The university is what really makes our town liberal. And if you go up to northern Idaho, and we're like the only liberal county, and then we're surrounded by conservatives all over. So it's actually, this whole coronavirus thing has really kind of revealed a lot about my city. I mean, it's been, I knew it was liberal, but I didn't know it was this liberal.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of restrictions are you guys are being imposed on you right now?
Yeah. So as you know, it's all about following the science, right? On March 20th, on March 20th, our mayor shut down the businesses in downtown before there was any cases of the coronavirus in our community. So the city council voted to shut down all the businesses in downtown on March 20th. New York shut their state down on March 11th. So only 9 days after did Idaho Moscow shut everything down. And he did this and went and was drinking beer and playing golf at Elks Lodge just about 2 miles outside of town, and did that on an almost daily basis. And then on July 2nd, the council.
So wait, he shut you down, but then went to other towns and imbibed. That's got his drink on?
Not even another town. It was literally in the county of the city of Moscow.
Okay.
Where this Elks Lodge. So it was in Moscow, but it was in the county section of Moscow where he went and drank beer. So
lockdown for me, not for thee. Got you there. Okay. Yeah.
And he continued to keep his paycheck while my buddy in downtown had to shut down his business, right? The whole city council, the mayor, everybody did that. And then on July 2nd, they voted in a mask mandate requiring everyone to mask where they could not social distance. And then my church, the way we protest is we just go and sing hymns and sing psalms and as a protest. So we don't carry Molotov cocktails. We don't do any violence. We just sing psalms for 20 minutes and leave. So we started kind of doing these downtown psalm sings in protest of all this. And then on August 3rd or 4th, they voted to extend the mandate. And then on September 21st, they voted to extend the mandate to January 5th. Now, on September 21st, there was hours of testimony saying, don't extend this mandate. It's not working. Cases have risen regardless of what people wearing masks or not. Don't extend it. They voted to extend it. So my church on September 23rd decided, let's do another psalm sing. And so this time we went to City Hall. And when we were at City Hall, the mayor and the county and the city supervisor had city staff go and spray paint circles on the concrete 6 feet apart, so you can objectively see that we weren't standing 6 feet apart. And so we go to, and keep in mind, like at this point, cops had never cited anybody for it, never arrested anybody for it.
They give you guys juice boxes too, along with the proper paste that you needed for the class project?
Yeah, coloring books, they handed that out as we were coming through. And so they had spray painted these circles 6 feet apart. I show up. The cops had never enforced this for the 3 or 4 months that had been in play. So I was going there just to do a psalm sing, just like with, so it was about 200 of us, 150, 200 of us. And I didn't think anything different was going to happen. The cops were there. I see this circle spray painted on the ground. At first, I didn't even know they were for us. And then I figured it out. I was like, oh, they want us to be 6 feet apart. We started singing psalms. The cops came up and approached my mom first, because women are easier to approach than men. It's not as frightening, I guess, for the cops. And they asked my mom, are you with this man? And my mom said, this is my son. So apparently me and mom, scientifically, me and mom are allowed to be standing next to each other. And then I put my arm around my friend, Tyler, and said, but this is my friend. And so the cop asked for my driver's license. And I said, officer, you don't have to do this. And he said, please hand me your driver's license. I said, officer, your duty is to defend my First Amendment rights, not the mayor's unconstitutional edict. Mm-hmm. And he said, please give me your driver's license again. So we went through that, 4 or 5 times. And he said, this is my last time. Please give me your driver's license. And I said, officer, you don't have to do this. And he proceeded to take, I was holding my hymn book, and he proceeded to take my hymn book away from me so he could handcuff me. Now keep in mind, like, I'm practicing my First Amendment rights. I'm practicing all of them. The right to worship, the right to petition, the right to gather, and the right to free speech. Mm-hmm. All of them. And he proceeded to arrest me because I wasn't wearing a mask or standing 6 feet apart from my friend Tyler. So as they take me to the county jail, and on the way to the county jail, it's only about 3 or 4 minutes, I knew I was going to have to pay bond or something silly. And so I just started preaching at the officer. I was like, this is wrong, it, and so forth. I get to the county jail. They check me in for about 3 hours. I'm in jail. Every cop, the officer that arrested me, came up to me to explain the citation he gave me while I was in jail. And he cited me for breaking the city health order, not social distancing and not wearing a mask. Right. And he said, but I'm not going to cite you for obstruction, basically not handing over my driver's license. And I responded to him, and I said, oh, thank you, Massa. So merciful. And he did not like that. But that was the odd thing in that moment, is he thought he was being merciful. Right. When he should have been protecting my First Amendment rights. As they're releasing me from the county jail, across the hallway, there's 2 deputies in an office, not wearing a mask and not social distancing. Of course. Yes. I walk over there. You mean like a president who was on camera last night demanding more mask mandates without wearing a mask? You mean like something like that, maybe? Something as obvious as that? Yes. Yeah. Yeah, as obvious as that. Well, and also, I didn't even mention this, but our mayor was officiating a wedding back in September, the month I got arrested. No, not wearing a mask, not social distancing, officiating a wedding. And so I go and point out to the deputies, hey, they aren't wearing a mask, they aren't social distancing, you need to arrest them. This is what you guys are releasing me from jail right now for. And they just asked me to leave. They say, please leave, please leave, please leave. So I got a court date. I get a lawyer. Thomas More Society's been representing me through all this. They've been awesome. They've been fantastic. And you guys have filed now a federal lawsuit saying, hey, essentially your health ordinances cannot override the Constitution of the United States. Exactly. That's why this case is so important. It took them 4 months to dismiss my case. The judge finally dismissed my case on January 9th, Saturday afternoon, like at 4 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I've never heard a judge dismissing a case on Saturday afternoon. So it took them 4 months to dismiss my case. And there's also sorts of kind of silly shenanigans in between. And then you probably haven't heard about this, but my friend's sons got really, they were frustrated that I got arrested over this. Well, they printed up stickers called with a hammer and sickle, Moscow, with a hammer and sickle. And at the bottom is the tagline, enforced because we care. That enforced because we care tagline actually comes from the city marketing campaign to get everyone to wear a mask, enforced because we care. And they took that sticker and went and plastered it on all friendly businesses in downtown, but they also hit a couple city streetlight poles. Well, apparently that's a violation. That's a code violation. But they put the sticker on these city poles where all these other stickers were. And they got cited, handcuffed, not arrested, but detained, released. What if they had posted BLM? Would any of those things have happened? Oh, all those stickers were there. So it sounds like you might have a 14th Amendment unequal protection clause violation there. Then. In like the 70 years of this little city sticker code, it's never been enforced. Zero, never been enforced. But they're mad because they lost my case, so now they're going after my friends. And so that's why I filed the federal lawsuit, is because one of the principles that Christians need to learn is not just the art of pushing back, but the art of pursuing. You can't just push back, but you got to pursue. And so that's kind of what my federal lawsuit's doing. The mayor, the city council, the city supervisor, no one has called and asked and apologized for violating my First Amendment rights. No one. So my only way to address my grievances is go to the federal courts. And so that's what I'm doing. I filed a lawsuit last week to go to the federal courts to get my grievances addressed, because I got no objective judge in town. I got no prosecutor backing me. I can't go to my police chief. I can't go to my city council. I can't go to my city supervisor. No one's going to get my back in all this. So I got to fight for our First Amendment rights here in town, despite my mayor's, tyrannical edicts.
So Dave, we got about 2-3 minutes here. What I'm fascinated by, because you're not like me, you're not just an activist or not just a host, but also an activist. You do both sides of the equation where you live there, similar to how I operate. So take away the fact this is your story. Now you're just a guy hosting a show that comments on culture and politics. Why haven't there been 80 of these lawsuits in the last year? What do you think? Why haven't we been flooding the zone with these sorts of lawsuits?
And that's a really good question. And I think part of the answer to that is Americans have gotten fat and sassy and a little lazy, and we've forgotten how to exercise certain civic muscles. So one of the civic muscles that we don't exercise very well anymore is kind of the muscle of courage, kind of standing up to our city council, standing up to our mayor. And it's not fun. I don't want to be at odds with my police chief. I don't want to be at odds with my mayor of this local town of 15,000 people. It's not fun. But
what happens when they're perfectly fine being at odds with you? What happens then?
Oh, yeah. They're totally fine at being at odds with us. They've released public statements about being at odds with people in my community. So So I think the muscle of courage is one thing, and also just the muscle of just caring about being involved in civic engagement. We tend to the conservative problem is we want to raise our kids, we want to work hard, and we want the government to leave us alone. And so that muscle of also just kind of engaging and figuring out where to push back. I was talking to my pastor about this, and I said, where do we start to push back? Where should other towns, where should other communities start to push back? And my Pastor Wilson just said, make a list and then kind of pick the most juiciest one and start pushing back. And I think that's helpful advice. This is not complicated rocket science. I mean, one of the things that this kind of lawsuit does is it will create First Amendment space in our town, because now the next time the cops go to do something like this, they're going to think twice, because the chief of police is on this lawsuit. The city supervisor is on this lawsuit. They're personally on this lawsuit. And so next time this happens, well, they're going to think twice. I better be careful about, maybe overstepping someone's constitutional rights, because I got in trouble last time.
Gabe, tell our audience, how can they follow what is going on with this case and check out you guys' show if they'd like to do that?
Yeah, thank you. Crosspolitic.com is our website. Crosspolitic.com is our website. And you can follow me really on Twitter and Gab at gmrench.com. That's Twitter and Gab at gmrench.com. And I'll keep everybody up to date on the lawsuit. And I can't wait to see you, Steve, in South Dakota at our rally, April 29th through May 1st.
That's right. You know what? Forgive me. I got a bit going on today. I totally forgot about that. Give the website out for that if people want to attend that event coming up about a month from now.
Yeah, so Steve's coming to speak at our conference, our rally in South Dakota, and you can go to fightlaughfeast.com and then click on events and then rally, and you can sign up, and we're excited. It'll be Thursday through Saturday. It's a raucous group of Christians. It's a family integrated conference. We'll have a comedian showing up. Steve Deace will be doing a talk, and we're working on possibly some other things with Steve Deace while we're there. We can't make it public yet, but I also need to run by you too.
Yeah, I was just saying, we don't know what those things are, but okay. Real quick, what's the website again?
Yeah, fightlaughfeast.com. Click on events, go to our rally.
All right. Good to see you, Gabe. Take care, brother.
Thanks, Steve.
You bet. Thoughts on that conversation?
That last part about exercising your muscle of courage and civic responsibility, there's no way around that, folks. And there never has been, and there never will be. Whatever little side things you've got going on in terms of your luxuries, your fetishes, the things you love to do, the simple fact, if you won't exercise those things, you don't deserve them. It's not complicated.
You mentioned yesterday, after hearing the testimony story of Deidre Hairston in Dallas, whose priest called her during Mass to kick her out of Mass for not wearing a mask. You asked, where are the guys? It's always she did, she stood. Well, there's one. And here's one really important facet of this. And I'm glad it's happening now. Better late than never. I think we're going to drive ourselves nuts if in the coming months we say, well, where was this a year ago? It's better late than never. Here's the very important facet of this. It is pitting COVID restrictions, mitigation efforts against the First Amendment. Now, we might not like the answers that we find, but we're never going to find answers unless we have this fight. A similar thing is going on with that pastor in Canada as well.
Yep.
The one charge that was not dropped is the one that they're going to pit against Canada's version of free speech and freedom of worship as well. Those are very important details to pay attention to in the months ahead.
We'll come back. The preview of the new book, Fauci and Bargain, is next. Stay tuned.